Right, we're going to re-rig this rod. We're having problems keeping the floats up in the middle. The wind's picked up and we're in about 30 foot of water. So we're going to try these little Pike Pro bobber floats. As I say, we're not sponsored by them or anything. It's just that we use them on the main rigs all the time. So we've got these in the tackle bag, so let's give them a bash. The way I'm going to set this up, there's a couple of variations that I do it and Bob does it, which I'll show you. But then basically, it's the same standard rig. It's basically a ledger float rig. So onto the line, there's already a braid friendly float stop. Now Bob's doesn't do this, but what I do is I'll slide a bead on first, so that there's a bead above the float. What you're then doing is you're taking your braid through the float, straightforward and through from that aspect. Yeah. So that you've now got that on the line. As I say, with mine, I have a bead above it. It just, yeah, you can or you can't, doesn't really make any difference. But this is Bob's rod, so keep it simple because I don't want to confuse him. So you float onto there, and that's, as I say, a large size bobber float. What you're doing then next is you want your, this is for your attaching your lead to, and it's two different ways of doing it. Bob uses these little straightforward slide clips, as you see there. I do it slightly different in that I make these up, and what they are, it's a little, I think I've told you about these before, little slider, but then into the middle of there, I don't know whether you can pick it up in the middle of the silicon, there's a little plastic C-clip. Then onto that I attach there, because obviously you can open the clasp and put your leads on and off, and then over that C-clip you've got the silicon tube, so it can't come undone. But if that gets snagged, that's got a 9-pound braking strain, so you can just pull for a brake and it's gone. But as I say, Bob's don't use those, but I do, onto that. So what goes on next, as I say, is basically your lead sliding clip, which just literally threads straight through the line. So there you go. And that's on, so that's then up to your float. The next bit that I do with mine is I will then put on, I think as I said to you before, one of these anti-tangle booms, which is basically a length of tube with a buff stop on one end and that on the other. The reason I use that is it just puts a bit of distance between your leads and your trace, but you know, again, personal choice. What you do then is Bob's has buffer bead, so it's a little rubber bead that just slides up and down the line. One end is wide, got a bigger hole in than the other. You want the bigger hole to the bottom side, so you're pushing the line through, so the bigger hole is there on view and you're pushing it through. The reason for that is that is going to go, then when you put on your line connector, that's going to pull into the hole, and that's your buffer bead, so when your weight slides down it's hitting that. The other option is you can get these, and I put them on my Pike rigs. It's a similar scenario, it's just like a little buffer cap, for want of a better word. Again, put it on, slide it down, and as you can see with that, that's gone into the bead. It's the same thing with that, it just goes in and you've got the buffer on there. Same idea, just a different variation on a theme. Once you've got your buffer, whether that's the bead or the cap on, you're then tying on your swivel connector, same sort of thing that you'd have on with your sort of tackle, sorry, with your low tackle, you know, for taking your lows on and off. What I do is, I'd sort of straightforward knot, sort of through from there, hang on, I'm saying straightforward, yeah, let's get it on doubled up. Trim off the excess. Again, don't leave your bits of line on the bank, stick them in your box. What I'm now going to do is obviously slide that buffer bead back down and over the top of the swivel. So as you can see, that's now, I'm now pulling the swivel into the bead, hence the reason that you obviously put the bigger end to the bottom. Yeah, so now when that slides up and down with your lead on and it smashes into there, it's not going straight into the knot, it's going into that. So there you go, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. As I say, the only variations I do is I'll put a bead above there just for free running, and then I will have the instead of the buffer bead, I'll have the boom on, or as I say, you can put that buffer cap on, and there you go, that's ready to go. So you literally then hook your lead onto your buffer slider, or in Bob's case, you put my lead onto his rod. There we go. Hook that onto there. Never simple when somebody's watching you. There you go. That's hooked on. So you've then got your lead that's free to slide up and down, and then you're literally attaching your wire trace then onto your swivel. There we go. And then you're sorted. What you've then got, I'll just slide all that up so you can see. You've got your stop knot, or your buffer bead for setting your, or your braid friendly stop for setting your depth. Bead, and then float if you want it. Slider for your lead. Some form of buffer, whether that's the bead or whatever. And then you're into your trace, and then into your base. So there we go. So let Bob's get this out into the middle, and let's see whether it works and it holds bottom.